Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Dennis on the show who's selling an e-commerce and dropshipping business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Dennis, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Lauren. Thank you. Happy to be here. Happy to answer any questions that you guys may have, and looking forward to this.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm really excited to have you here. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. It certainly sounds like you have a really interesting business on your hands, so I can't wait to learn more about it. But before we dive in, I'm going to give the listeners a brief overview of the business so they have some background on what we're talking about. As I mentioned, this is an e-commerce and dropshipping business. It was created in July 2020, and it's in the art and home niches. The average revenue for the business is $159,693 per month, and it makes an average of $26,384 per month in net profit. The assets included with the business are a primary domain and all site content and files, secondary domains, supplier relationships, contractor relationships, a Shopify account, a fair wholesale account, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Pinterest social media accounts, a pending trademark, an email list with 30,300 subscribers, a Facebook Messenger list with 6,714 subscribers, an SMS list with 1,041 subscribers, and a custom-built branded app. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64863 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So with all of that out of the way, let's hear from the seller. Dennis, can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
All right. Well, I have dabbled in a lot of different types of businesses and money-making ventures. At one point, at the height of the 2017 crypto bull run, I was very heavily invested in cryptocurrencies, trading a lot of different altcoins, investing in ICOs. Then I moved on to a small wholesale manufacturing business in Australia. That was extremely boring. There was day in, day out. It was the exact same thing all over again. And honestly, there wasn't much potential for scaling outside of Australia. So me and my business partner pretty much ended that and started this. So this is pretty much my first real venture into an e-commerce business, and me and my business partner did not really know what we were doing when we started. We did make a lot of mistakes along the way, but I think in the long run, it's paid off.
Yeah, it certainly seems like it. The business is super successful, and we'll get into those mistakes a little bit later on. But what inspired you to start a Shopify business in particular when there are other e-commerce platforms like Amazon FBA or Walmart available?
I actually have quite a bit of friends who started their own FBA businesses before we got into Shopify. What really put us off was the upfront capital investment with no actual guarantee that we'd end up selling stock on Amazon. If you want to really sell a good product and break out, you need 10K plus. But at the same time, if you pick the wrong product, you'd be stuck holding a bunch of stock. It also didn't seem as interesting as starting your own Shopify store. As we said, we wanted something that was a little bit more fun, hands-on, and a bit more interesting on the daily.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Shopify allows you to be a lot more independent compared to Amazon. When looking for products to sell, what made you hone in on these particular products?
Well, originally, we weren't looking for products to sell. We were actually looking for one of these products for ourselves. And we saw a gap in the market. There was either companies that had good customer service, were legitimate, upstanding businesses, but their designs were absolutely terrible and not creative at all. And on the other end, there was companies that had a large range of nice designs, but their customer service was atrocious. There was, I think, the competitor that we modeled ourselves off of in terms of, originally at least, had hundreds and hundreds of like 1-star reviews. Their products still haven't arrived after like 6 months. They paid like hundreds or thousands of dollars. And we realized there's a gap in the market, and we were confident we'd be able to fill that.
Yeah, it's always great when you're able to identify a definite need like that and fulfill it yourself. And as you say, you were shopping for these products yourself. So you clearly have a passion for what you're doing. The business is very successful now. So what are the reasons you've decided to sell the business at this stage?
My business partner and I, we live in Australia, but we're not citizens. We're not actually eligible to get any kind of loans or mortgages, and we would really love to get into the real estate space. We are approaching our mid to late 20s and would love to get into real estate and probably buy a property or two and start developing. So for us to be able to do that, we would pretty much need to buy it and finance it outright. As much as we would love to continue with our business, we see that it would be best for us to let it go and move on to, well, real estate. Also, I forgot to mention, I am studying dentistry full time. Now that I'm doing that, I've been able to dedicate less time to the business, and I don't want everything to rest on my business partner's shoulders.
Well, it certainly sounds like you've got a lot on your plate, but there's some exciting times ahead of you. That's the wonder of selling a business, is that you are able to finance these new projects, which is great. Looking back over your journey with this business, as you said, there have been some ups and downs. Is there anything that comes to mind when you think of the biggest successes you've had with the business?
I guess it would be more so milestones. Making our first 7 figures in revenue, that was quite a surprise. We never actually thought we'd end up getting there. My business partner and I kind of like to move on and try new things, so we didn't think we'd end up toughing it out until then. We did have a wholesale order for over 1,000 units at $87,000 USD. That was also quite a success in our eyes because pretty much didn't have to invest in stock or anything. Someone just reached out to us, said they wanted 1,000 units. We had our manufacturer and ship it to them. Really, it just took a day or two of working out what kind of price and discount we can give them, and it was pretty easy money made. Not to say we ripped them off or anything. They were very happy with it, and price-wise, it was still quite competitive. So everyone walked away happy from that.
That was an amazing deal to see that come in.
Yeah. There's been like a lot of other like smaller successes, but nothing that I can think of that really stands out.
Yeah, as you say, it's ticking off those milestones that really stands out. You mentioned that you did get off to a bit of a rocky start. What were the biggest setbacks or challenges that you faced?
Well, when we first started the business, we spent a couple months building the store, creating the designs. At the time, we didn't really have much capital to work with, so we did everything we could ourselves. We did have to spend a little bit of money here and there, but for the most part, my business partner and I did everything ourselves. When we launched, we worked with a Meta and Google ads agency who had zero experience with e-commerce, soon came to realize, and we ended up spending, I think, like 5K or 3K, and then plus their retainer, and made $200 in revenue, which was quite discouraging when we first launched. So we cut ads, stopped working with that company, and spent the next couple months revamping the store, creating new designs, smoothing out the purchase experience and the whole customer journey, pretty much improving the business as much as we could in every way. Then I believe in March of 2020, we relaunched ads with a different marketing company. This time around, it was successful and we started scaling quite rapidly. So biggest setback was our original launch. Along the way, we've obviously had made a couple mistakes here and there, like trying out some alternative marketing strategies that didn't really pan out as much as we wanted to. But obviously down the line, we had a bit more money to play with, so it wasn't as discouraging to not get the results we wanted.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's just the learning curve that comes with an e-commerce business. It's always surprising how many companies don't have experience with e-commerce, especially given how big it's gotten over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, this was our first actual like e-commerce venture, so we didn't know how to do like run Facebook ads ourselves and a lot of stuff, but we have learned along the way.
Yeah, I want to dig into your marketing a bit more. Talk to me about where your traffic comes from. Is it majority organic or is it coming through those paid ads?
Majority of our traffic is coming from paid ads through Meta platform and then also through Google Ads. We do have a bit of organic traffic, so we do have a pretty large Instagram following. In the niche that we're in, there's not too many competitors that have followings as big as ours. So when people do search up, not necessarily just our brand, but keyword for what we sell, our Instagram account is one of the first ones that come up. So we do get a decent amount of organic traffic through there and also through properly alt tag Google Images and through Google, but majority of traffic does come from paid ads through Meta.
Yeah, I think that's great, especially given that you're in such a visual niche. I think it's probably quite powerful to use those paid ads.
It is. Google is obviously, as you know, probably more engaged shoppers that already have an intent to purchase, but through Meta now and Instagram, it's been quite good because, as you said, our product is quite visual and there's a lot of variety in different designs and different ways that you can incorporate it into creative videos. So there's always new creative content that we can make to bring in new shoppers.
Yeah, I think that's great. You also have quite a sizable email list. Is that monetized and are you advertising to those subscribers?
We do send out email blasts here and there. We only really started doing, I guess, email marketing a couple months ago. Before that, we were pretty much not monetizing it as we should. We only started building our SMS list, I think, 2 months ago, which was a mistake. We definitely should have been building that earlier because as soon as we started sending out SMS campaigns, the ROAS on that was insane. And we realized we had dropped the ball by not starting to build that earlier. I guess another mistake that we've learned from.
At least it's doing well. It would have been awful if you'd launched it and it hadn't done well. Even though you should have done it earlier, it's still a positive outcome.
Yeah. We actually only started building our email list, like a email capture pop-up, I believe, at the start of this year. Before that, we didn't have too many emails. So along with our messenger list as well.
Yeah, it's great that you were able to grow that so quickly. Are you also using any SEO to drive traffic to your products through Google?
Yeah, so we do have the SEO app, one of the Shopify apps that I guess optimizes everything, like all our products for SEO discovery, but we also have a small company contractor that does the backlinks and other SEO link building for us. That's also something that we only started I think 7 or 8 months ago. I'm sure we could definitely get better results, but we haven't really invested too much time or money into that. And I would definitely recommend if a new buyer was to take over, they would invest into SEO and organic traffic. Some of our competitors are taking advantage of their organic traffic, and it's obviously a pretty good strategy.
Well, following on from that train of thought, what do you see as the major opportunities for growth with this business?
There's definitely several different opportunities that me and my business partner have identified. We haven't pursued them yet, but if we were to hold on to the business, it's definitely what we would do. First one being to start selling on Amazon. There's a decent amount of people selling, I guess, similar products on Amazon, but none of them have the creative or aesthetic or high-end, high-ticket designs that we have. They're all very generic and run-of-the-mill ones. And as our designs are some of the reasons that we stand out from our competitors, there is quite a lot of opportunity on that. And to my understanding, you can drop ship through Amazon. So I don't see that being a problem. Another one would be to get into the retail space and find partners with physical locations that can stock our products or essentially just offer a in-person shopping experience for people. We've had a fair bit of interest, but from different companies worldwide. However, we haven't actually pursued that. Finally, as I said, we did have a relatively large wholesale order. It's not something we advertise, so it's just simply when that company reached out to us, we were able to offer that. But it would definitely be good to try to pursue that further and build a wholesale relationship with companies. That's not something we have experience outside of Australia, and the business that we were in before that was doing the wholesale manufacturing was very niche. So we wouldn't have been able to use those contacts for anything outside of that. That's why we haven't pursued it. But it's definitely a good opportunity to do so because the margins are quite healthy. We have the ability to wholesale manufacture, and it's not something that any of our competitors have really done.
Yeah, I think that's a great list of opportunities. And there are opportunities where if you do take advantage of them, it could massively boost revenue. So they're definitely worth pursuing.
There's a bit more that I'm probably missing. We wrote them down on the onboarding for empire flippers. Potential buyer does want to look at the other opportunities. They are written down, but that's just off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think they'll probably be in the FAQ section of your listing if anyone wants to dive a bit deeper into those. Dennis, let's take a look into your inventory now. How many suppliers do you have and where are they based?
We have 2 suppliers. Both of them are based in China. One of them accounts for 95% of the products we sell. The other one accounts for 5% of the products we sell. We've been working with these suppliers, one of them for a year and a half, actually both of them for about a year and a half now. Have a very good relationship with them, and they go above and beyond to pretty much help us in any way, shape, and form that they can. For the one that accounts for 95% of the products sold, we are their biggest customer, and we help them grow, and they helped us grow. So they're always willing to work with us in whatever capacity. One of them has actually expressed that they would be open to opening a US-based manufacturing facility, which would be a huge bonus as that would reduce shipping cost, obviously add a bit more credibility to the business because then we could say our products are manufactured in the US, reduce lead times, and increase profit margins. That's actually one of the opportunities that I forgot to mention.
Yeah, that's a massive opportunity. It's great that you have such a good relationship with your suppliers as well. That's invaluable with a business like this. Do you have any formal contracts in place with them?
No, so we don't have any formal contracts with anyone, actually. We don't have any employees. They're all subcontractors. With the suppliers, we have a good relationship, as I said, and they do want to continue working with us. So there's no reason not to. But obviously, if the new buyer finds a cheaper supplier, that we haven't been able to find a cheaper supplier that offers the quality that these ones do. But obviously, if the new buyer can find someone better, there's no obligation to stay with them. However, we would recommend that they do.
Yeah, absolutely, especially given the relationship that you have with them. How long does it normally take your suppliers to fulfill orders from the day you place the order with them to the day it gets delivered to the customer?
All of our products are handmade to order, and we don't hold any stock because of the large variety of designs, sizes, colors that we offer. Holding stock would just be a logistical nightmare, would require, I think, over 60,000 units just to hold one of each. And because of the large amount of different designs that we sell, we're constantly getting sales for, we have a fair bit of bestsellers, but there's also people ordering custom ones and not as popular designs. So to hold stock wouldn't make much sense. It takes about 1 week to manufacture and another, let's say, 3 to 5 business days to express ship. Obviously, to the more remote areas, it may take a little bit longer, but on average, it's a 2-week turnaround time from when the customer places their order to receive it. Now, with most other businesses, customers may be a little bit unhappy about that. With ours, customers are actually quite happy to wait, and people are surprised the turnaround time is that low because a lot of our other competitors actually have higher turnaround times or the same.
Yeah, considering the customizability of your products, I think 2 weeks is a really great turnaround time. Do you express ship all of your products or only over a certain pricing threshold, for example?
No, so we have the shipping like factored into our price. We do express ship all of them. We saw that non-express shipping, so like shipping by sea, would be cheaper and would bring the margins up. However, it's one of the reasons that that competitor that I mentioned earlier had a lot of negative reviews. So people are happy to wait 2, maybe 3 weeks to receive it. They're not happy to wait a month and a half, 2 months to receive it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Let's have a look now at what a typical work week looks like for you running this business. You mentioned that you do have a business partner. So how long do both of you spend on the business per week and what sort of activities are taking up your time?
Up until recently, we both spending equal amounts of time. With that said, as I mentioned before, I am in dental school now. That's pretty much all on my business partner's shoulders now. But a typical work week essentially involves doing the customer service side of things, which could definitely be outsourced to a virtual assistant. We haven't, but that's definitely something that doesn't need the business owner's input. It's just something that we prefer to do ourselves. Fulfilling orders, so sending the manufacturer the order list for the day, approving PIs, making sure that there's no errors in what's been sent, and then sending the payment. All of that, once again, can also be outsourced to a virtual assistant. We do have weekly calls with our meta ads marketing team just to run down on the performance, see how we can improve, get feedback, constructive criticism, the usual. And then also overseeing the graphic designers that do the custom side of things. They're quite proficient, but obviously sometimes they have questions or may need a little bit of like input as to how to quote certain like specific custom requests and so on. That's pretty much the extent of the work week. It takes about like 25 hours a week, like total. When I can, I do try to help out around the business if I do have time. But for the most part, as I said, that's what my business partner does.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks for that breakdown. Can you also run us through the team that you have in place? You mentioned you do work with a variety of subcontractors. So run us through what they do and how many of them are involved.
Okay, so I'll start with the marketing contractors, subcontractors. I'm not sure what the difference is. Anyways, they are a company that's based in Australia. They have offices in Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. They're a fairly large company and they take care of the meta ads, so Facebook, Instagram, and also creating video and photo content for us to use for advertising on that. We just recently started TikTok ads as well, I guess, just to test the waters on that. It's like pretty early on, so I can't really speak on how good it is, but they handle that advertising media buying side of things. We also have Google Ads contractor that are based in the US. They pretty much just handle the Google Ads side of things. We then have two contractors that do graphic design and custom quoting and issuing payment links for custom designs for our customers. And one SEO contractor in India or Pakistan that we just pay $150 a month to do our SEO side of things. So as I said, there's definitely room for improvement there, but so far, from what I can see, they're doing actually a pretty good job for the price and can't complain on that. And that's pretty much the team.
Yeah, that's great. I think having a team in place like this, it certainly takes a lot of weight off of your shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
And allows you to focus on growing the business.
As I said, we were doing everything before ourselves when we started. So it's nice to be able to delegate, which is not something we've ever done before. So it was definitely hard to be able to give the reins to someone else and hope that they do a good job. But they do a good job, so can't complain.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hard to let go sometimes, but yeah, it allows you to focus on growing the business and going to dental school as you are now. With everything in mind, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for a buyer taking over this business?
Honestly, haven't really thought that far ahead. Me and my business partner are obviously happy to spend as much time as needed to make sure that the buyer is able to fully take over the business as smoothly as possible, that they understand like all the inner workings, all the small finer details. We do have processes in place and like guides and walkthroughs to make sure that even if there comes a time when we're not around, that everything can continue running as smoothly as possible. I guess the biggest challenge would be to grow the business. That's not to say that it's difficult or not doable. It would just involve, say, as I said, setting up on a new platform like Amazon or building those wholesale relationships, which is not something we have experience in. So for us, that would be a challenge. But for the right buyer, I don't see that being a big challenge.
Yeah, I think a buyer who comes in who can map out that growth strategy and figure out how to take the business to the next level, it would be a very exciting opportunity for them. What sort of support are you willing to offer the buyers to help them navigate this niche and this industry?
We're happy to do a month to month and a half of like full-time hands-on support, just like every day, be there for long as needed. After that, we'd prefer to step away, but obviously if they have any questions or anything arises, we're obviously happy to be there either via call or however else, probably not in person unless they're in Australia. Yeah, I'm just happy to answer, like continue providing like support and guidance or answer any questions they may have, as involved as we can be.
Yeah, I think that'll be very reassuring for buyers to hear. It's always great to have the support of the seller. Are you open to negotiating something like an earn-out agreement?
That's something we'd prefer to not go down that route. As I said, we do want to get into real estate, so having to wait for the rest of the money to come in would not be preferable. Ideally, we'd get the full amount outright. If we really have to go down the route of an earnout or seller financing, whatever it's called, it would have to be like majority of the money up front, not the 66% or 50%. I'm not sure what the like minimum requirements are, but it would have to be higher than that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense considering the type of projects you want to move into. Would you commit to a non-compete agreement?
Yes, definitely. Happy to commit to a non-compete agreement for as long as required. We would still want to be able to do e-commerce if we so choose, but not in this niche and not in this space, and happy to work out a agreement with the new buyer for however long they want us to sign the non-compete for, as long as it's not too restrictive.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dennis, considering this is your first foray into e-commerce, you've certainly built the business up to a really successful level. And I'm sure there are many entrepreneurs out there who would love to replicate your success. So, do you have any advice that you would give to our listeners that you wish you knew when you first started this business?
Yeah, my biggest bit of advice, if you do have the capital to, I'd recommend hiring people that actually know what they're doing to do it. For instance, we have a custom app build. Cost us, I think, like $7,000 or $8,000, but it generates like a couple $100,000 worth of revenue a year for the business. If we actually had the money, that's something we would have outsourced and had done from the get-go, but we didn't have a lot of capital to work with, so we try to do everything ourselves. And obviously, we all have our own strengths and weaknesses, and our strengths are definitely not coding. So we had a very basic, very simple one before that didn't fulfill in half the functions, and we missed out on a lot of revenue from that. So that's probably a big takeaway. Also, having a proper plan in place and not rushing. So when we first launched the business, we rushed to find a marketing team, and our friend happened to know someone that did marketing, so we went with them. Should have probably done our research better and spent more time to optimize the business, make everything as smooth as possible, and also find a good marketing team to work with rather than having wasted $5,000 and gotten $200 worth of revenue back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's fantastic advice. Investing a bit of extra money into people who know what they're actually doing, as you say, can make a lot more money in the long term for the business. Well, Dennis, that leads us into the final question of the interview, the one we've been building up to this whole time.
I have no idea what it is. I should have probably read the little guideline a bit better before jumping on this call.
Well, it should be a fairly easy question for you to answer. If you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
I see a lot of potential upside to the business. As we said, we haven't really expanded into selling on other marketplaces, into the wholesale aspect of it, or into retail stores. There's also the TikTok side of ads. Like, we just started testing with it. So that's completely hasn't been explored. And from what I've heard, has been generating a lot of very cheap conversions for other businesses. Additionally, the SEO side of things and the organic traffic can be vastly improved. Like, our domain authority, I think, is like 18%, and our organic traffic pales in comparison to the paid traffic. So there's definitely ways of increasing that organic traffic that would obviously increase revenue. And there's a lot of things that we haven't done that could be very much improved that the new buyer can definitely use to grow the business. This was our first foray, so we didn't really know what we were doing. And there's a lot of things that we've missed out that someone with experience will be able to see and see how that they can optimize and ultimately take our business to a level that we haven't, hopefully.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like you've built up a business with a very solid foundation with a lot of levers that buyers can pull, which is fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners that I might have missed before we wrap up the interview?
Nothing that I can think of that wouldn't reveal the actual business itself, which I'd prefer to not do. I've been advised to not do. I think that pretty much covers everything. There's a lot more details on the actual Empire Flippers listing that I've probably missed. So if you guys do want to check it out, I recommend it.
Wonderful. Well, Dennis, thank you so much for coming onto the show and sharing some more information about your business. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. And for any buyers who are interested in learning more about the business, you're welcome to book a call with Dennis so he can fill you in on all the things he wasn't able to say in this interview.
Yeah, it's morning time and my brain's still warming up. So I'm quite confident I've missed one or two important things, which I would happy to go into more details on at a more suitable time.
Perfect. Well, thanks again, Dennis. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64863. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.